Welcome to Thriving Entrepreneur with your host, Steve Kidd, third-generation minister and 30-year business coach. Listen in as amazing, world-changing authors, speakers, and coaches share their struggles and victories. And hear from best-selling authors' insight into how you too can live your life as a thriving entrepreneur.
This is Steve. Welcome to Thriving Entrepreneur. Thanks for being here with us today. I so appreciate getting to be able to spend some time with you today as I share with you some great guests, and we hope give you some insight into ways that you can up-level your business, things that you should be doing, things that you really need to know in order to have the biggest impact you can possibly have in the world. There may possibly be no larger impact that you can make on your business these days than to really truly embrace digital marketing. There is the whole world of being able to promote your products online and have ads online on Facebook and Google and all of those different places. There's perhaps no better way to really get your word out there. All over the world you can do that via the internet. Digital marketing is so powerful, and of course those of you that know me know, I've been in internet space since before the internet was considered to be the internet. And I can tell you from experience, as well as example upon example of people that I know that have gone from nothing or being completely unknown to literally having worldwide recognition because of their online presence. Your online presence is so important. I want to take a second out here to remind you, I shared it with you last week, but I want to share it with you again. My good friend Errol Abramson. Errol is a multi-billionaire. He's had 47 companies that he's started. Every single one of them have been successful. He's taken them all the way to successful completion to either launch them as publicly traded companies or sell them profitably. Multi-million dollar companies, and even a couple of them are billion-dollar companies. Errol wants to coach you one-on-one. A direct, intimate coaching with Errol where he's going to talk to you every week for at least 2 hours and be available to you essentially 24/7 via email. A package like this normally would cost you somewhere in the neighborhood of $25,000 to $50,000 for the month. One session with somebody at Errol's caliber is usually going to, in fact, by itself, run you $5,000 to $25,000 easily. Errol wants to do the whole month of coaching with you, pour everything he's learned in his years of experience into you, and he's willing to do that for only $5,000. If you're interested, please get in contact with me. You can just reach out to me and, let me know, hey, Steve, I'd like to get to know more about having Errol do coaching with me. I'd love to hook you up with that. You see, again, I'm talking to you, some of you live on the radio. Many of you are listening on, podcast forums and different online things. It's a perfect example of even when we're sharing things that our friends are doing, how important your online presence is. I mean, think about it. They say these days that if a person is going to, for example, buy a car, they go online and they research it. There are so many sites that you can research it. But one of the biggest places that you can get the information you're looking for is in social media. You can make a post on Facebook, for example, and say, hey, I'm looking at this car, and give them the specific year, make, and model doing, or even just the type of car. Have any of you had any experience with that? Or you can go on and say, hey, I need to get a car that has the ability to be able to have 7 people in it because my kids, they need seatbelts and all of that kind of stuff. What vehicle would you recommend? You can have discussions about should I get a minivan, or should I go with more like a 7-passenger SUV? And what are the advantages and disadvantages of each of those? Such a powerful example of ways that you share almost on a daily basis in digital marketing without even knowing you do. But when we become intentional with our online presence, with the way that we are approaching the world and telling the story of who we are. You see, there's an old phrase that sometimes drives me crazy, I gotta tell you, and it's the concept that word-of-mouth advertising is the best form of advertising. Well, I gotta take exception to that, because here's the problem with pure word-of-mouth advertising. You have no control over what's being said. Yeah, sure, people may be saying great things about you, and you may have people coming in the door because so-and-so said, that you should check out this guy for whatever this service is. But the truth of the matter is that although recommendations from other people can be absolutely, just like we were talking about a minute ago with the car, can be the most profound type of referral you're going to get, it only is going to be if you're controlling the message. Are you aware of what your online presence is, what your digital footprint is, what people are saying, both good and bad? There's going to be things out there that people are going to say negative about you. There are so many sites like, the Better Business Bureau site. You can submit a complaint about a company to that. And I'm going to tell you a dirty little secret. I actually have some good friends that work for the Better Business Bureau, so I'm not dissing them. But one of the things that I learned is that if you want to dispute that, you're going to need to pay a fee to the Better Business Bureau in order to be able to dispute what that person's saying. You see, there's a lot of those kind of things, and if we don't intentionally control the narrative, we can at some point go out and do a search for ourselves and find that there is a lot of things being said out there that we don't want to be said. The reverse is true too. When it comes to advertising, we want to advertise powerfully and effectively in a way that is going to put out the exact message we want to, but also is going to do it in a way that the people that we're trying to reach are actually going to find it. If we're not using the words that the person that's searching for us is using, they're not going to search our phrase. They're going to search with the words, the concepts, the phrases that they are thinking. We need to understand and know that. There's so many nuances in digital marketing. And so today, we're going to spend some time with a couple of really great experts, really fun interviews that I did with these folks that are going to share with you how you can up-level your online presence, how you can really make the biggest impression possible by controlling your digital marketing. And in doing so, you can find yourself living as a thriving entrepreneur. We're going to take our first quick commercial break, and then we'll be right back with some great information on digital marketing here on Thriving Entrepreneur. Don't go away. You've heard Kathy and I talk about it. You've seen the workshops. You have watched as others of your friends have become a best-selling author. And now it's your turn. Let me ask you this. What would being a best-selling author do for your business? Over 80% of people surveyed said that they want to write a book, which means that if you're listening, you probably are one of those people. Now is your time because you have a message that needs to be shared. That message is not for you. It's not for your ego. It is because it serves other people. Kathy and I are here to help you share your unique brilliance with the world. All you need to do is go to WeHelpYouThrive.com, check us out, and find out how you can be a best-selling author today.
Welcome back to Thriving Entrepreneur.
This is Steve. Welcome back. Thanks for listening to Thriving Entrepreneur. Today we're going to deep dive into digital marketing, into really impacting your clients by having the right things that are out there on the internet that are promoting, advertising, and even when you then do ad campaigns, you buy an ad on the site, the things that you should and can do that are going to make that the most effective. There are some couple of really great guests here, and I'm really looking forward to introducing them to you. This first guest, I love the things that she's going to share with you in this, because if you're listening, and I would suggest you take notes, if you're listening, you're going to get some key insights into the way that the person you want to purchase your product is thinking and how you can directly approach them in a way that gets their attention and turns them from somebody you wish you knew to somebody that you're glad is a customer. Join me in welcoming Kris Sugatan. Hey, Kris, how you doing today?
Hey, Steve, I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about who you are and how you show up in the world.
Yeah, well, I'm the founder and CEO of Sugatan.io. We are a e-commerce growth hacking agency. So we work with a lot of people who are just starting their e-commerce business, and then we take them to 7 and 8 figures.
You just say that so flippantly, and then we just take them to 6 or 7 figures.
7 or 8 figures.
Oh, 7 or 8 figures. Okay, sorry. All right. Well, having been in internet space for a couple of minutes, since 1996, I know that there must be a system behind that. So tell me what, obviously they'd have to work with you to get all the secret sauce, but what's the secret? How can you take somebody to 7 or 8 figures, and how quickly can you do it?
You know what? Everybody has a product, right? And we work with e-commerce products, but everybody has a product to sell, whether that's their personal branding or their coaching services, anything along those lines. In this case, a book. And really everything is around the way the story around that product is crafted. And we create very interesting stories that get a completely ice cold audience that has never heard of the brand to convert and buy into the product. So we are just really crafty storytellers. That's really the secret sauce for us.
I like that. Okay. Good words there too. Ice cold to customer. I like that a lot. So, you've been doing this for a couple of years. Give me some examples of some people's success that you've had.
Yeah. There was one guy, he was actually a former gambler, and he was this Russian guy, who decided to get into the beauty niche of all things. And I think it's because he just really loved women that he wanted to create a product around something that would allow him to be surrounded by women, to be honest with you. But he actually came to us with like a eyelash product. And when he first came to us, he had the ugliest, the most terrible looking landing page. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, he's making $100,000 per month off of this really ugly landing page in the beauty niche. And I remember just being so, it was hilarious to me. But in 4 months, we took him to about 700,000 per month in revenue. And then 2 months after that, we crossed the 1.1 million per month threshold for him.
Okay, what happened? Say those time frames again, and how quick?
In 4 months, he was doing around 120. Well, when he first came to us, he was doing about 125K per month. And in 4 months, we took 700,000 per month. Then 2 months after that, so in 6 months, we took him to 1.1 million per month in the beauty niche.
Wow, that's awesome. So, all right, you said you could help authors. Person has a book, I mean, I'm assuming that probably his product sold for a little bit more than the, typical $2.99 an ebook's going to sell for, and $9.99 or $14.99 that a print book's going to sell for. But let's do a mock-up right now. How would you pitch somebody about getting their book out to the point where they could make 7 or 8 figures with it? Or would you even promise them that was something that's low of a price? Well,
a question for you. One important question: is it a fiction or nonfiction book?
Nonfiction.
Nonfiction. Oh my gosh! If you're creating a nonfiction book, you must have such an amazing story to tell that is going to provide value to somebody. So you really need to think, what is going to be the most valuable thing that this reader or would-be reader is going to take away from the book that is going to literally change their life. You have to think about that. Then you also have to think about, in addition to that, what is the one thing that you can tell them that the reader can apply into their lives right now, right? That if they were to actually apply it, they will see a significant impact in their life, or they'll see the improvement in their life. You lead in with that. There are, we are top line revenue growth people. What we specialize in is getting a completely, like I said, ice cold audience to convert literally the first time they've even heard of you, right? That's what we're good at. And the way that you get them to convert is you really speak to something that is either they're missing in their life. Let's just say, I mean, can you give me a little bit more, Steve? Is it like nonfiction? Is it autobiography, or is it like a how-to? Is it marriage, relationship?
Yeah. It's usually authors, speakers, coaches. So we'll use. I wrote a book last week, literally.
Wow.
They're short reads because short reads are always more powerful, and because they follow that format exactly what you're saying. We take a point, we make it really clear, and we make it, so the person has an action from that point. So the book I wrote last week, we'll just use it as an example. The title is called Clarity is Powerful, and it's about the 3 things that you need in your life to be clear, to then be able to do that thing that you're meant to do in the world.
Amazing. So to live with passion, basically, like imagine, oh my gosh, I think this is something that so many people want to be able to do in their lives, is to have the, to live with passion. And in order to get there, you're showing them how to get clarity in that, right? To achieve that. So, I think that, like, for example, we're one of the catalysts in growing these businesses exponentially is through ads on social media. Although you don't really have to invest in ads, you really just need to craft a really fast, quick way of capturing people's attention through some kind of visual format, right? That could be your hardcover book, or that could be a short video of you explaining what the book is about. But you really, the first 3 seconds needs to really stop their thumb, and they'll stop the thumb, let's say on, if you post it on Instagram or if you post it on Facebook, what is a thumb stopper is you communicate their biggest pain point. You're basically, in that first 3 seconds, you have finished the thought in their head. You're in their mind at It's like as the voice in their head. And if you say that thing that triggers them in the first 3 seconds, you have achieved one of the most difficult things, which is stopping the thumb. Then after that, your job is to get them to pay attention after 3 seconds. So whether that's reading your copy or, your job is to get them to click through to read more, right? Or to learn more and to go to your landing page, or let's say your Amazon page where the book is, where they can buy the book. And then that's, your closer right then and there. So you really need to understand who you're speaking to and understand, and then write copy in a way that is like getting inside their head. You're the voice in their head. You're finishing the sentences in their head because you know what it is that is keeping them up at night.
Okay. All right. No, I like what you have to say here. So, do you think it's realistic for a person to think that a product that's selling for, $3 to $10 can pop that 7 or 8 figure? Or are they looking at really needing to have like 10 to 100 books all selling at that in order to get there?
Oh yeah. I mean, obviously at a $10 mark, you want to get to that $10 mark, like that $9.99 mark. 100%, we are growth hackers, and what growth hacking just really means is, for us, we think about where our customers are roaming on the internet, right? And it's not just thinking, we use competitive intelligence tools. So for example, let's take the book that you wrote last week. I would basically, one of the first things that I would do is I would look at a book on Amazon that is from a very popular author that has sold millions. And I would look at all of the reviews from the people who read that book. And it's going to talk about what, we call this copy mining. This is what actually helps us create the copy for the products that we're trying to sell. We go through the 100 reviews. You can hire somebody for $4 an hour to do this for you. Put them in an Excel spreadsheet and extract all of the common words that those hundreds of reviews are saying over and over again. Is it pain? It relieved me from my pain, right? It gave me so much relief, right? I shed tears, I cried when I read this book. All of these commonalities that everybody is resonating with, you're starting to speak you start to understand what's really important to that demographic, if that makes any sense. And so that is really how you can capture people's attention right from this, because it's proven already. The data is already out. You're not the first to come out with this book, and you're not the first to sell it, right? There is already somebody historically, and most likely 3 to 10 books on that same topic that have sold millions already. And all of the information for you to develop your copy around is already online. All you have to do is sort of dig in there and start to, that's how you can start to understand the psychology of the people who are most interested in that topic. Does that make sense? We call that competitive intel copy mining. Yeah. And so then you can sort of, you start to understand, you start to understand, like people say in Amazon reviews anyway, they start to say things like, oh, I have 2 kids, or I have 3 kids, or I'm divorced, or I have my husband and wife, or whatever, if it's male or female. And you begin to sort of understand who that person is. And then you start to think, okay, where are they hanging out online? That's where you want to be to start introducing your book, or to be an authority over that niche. That's how you can start, driving traffic to your landing page, essentially. And, without having to advertise, we've, in my agency, we spent $0 on advertising. And yet we were today my team is 28 people. We crossed the 1 million threshold in a year within my agency, right? So it's just about really knowing what the problems of the people you're trying to serve and then getting in front of them as much as possible.
Good stuff. I hope everybody that's been listening has been taking notes. To some extent you're preaching to the choir to me, but I just am loving what you're saying. So let's talk
I'm glad you agree.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the resistance. If you really have the ability, and I'm not doubting you do it all, to help somebody go from 0 to 7 or 8 figures, why doesn't everybody do it? What is the resistance that you're getting from people?
Wow. So I actually just wrote about this morning, about the 3 traps that are common for newer entrepreneurs. And the very first one is people focus on branding a lot, and they actually focus on branding first and then product second. Branding is, how do I relate this to? So, for example, like spending too much time on the sort of like the about you, spending too much time on how the cover looks, and the design of it, spending too much time on how a graphic that you're promoting the book through, like let's say through a digital flyer, spending too much time on that and really not allocating the time to making sure that your content, the product itself, is superior, and making a lot of branding decisions that supersede your product decisions. And so a lot of times these newer businesses, they focus too much on branding, and as a result, they're not able to convert a cold customer profitably, it's a trap, because the entrepreneur wants to look good. They want to put out something that they're proud of in terms of how it looks aesthetically. They spend too much time on the website, for example, and sort of, tinkering with the font color and how but ultimately it's really about your product. Does your product actually do its job in servicing the people that you're trying to service? Does it actually solve problems? And that's what a lot of entrepreneurs sort of they divert away from that. They don't understand the importance of it. So when we come in, we tell them, forget your branding for now, because you're not even a company yet. You have to focus on, defining your product and getting your product to the market and seeing how the market responds to the product, and then refining from there. So, that's number 1 on the list. There's 2 others, but I won't go into that because then I can talk forever.
That is awesome. Oh, wow. I want to just keep you on for like an hour and just keep interviewing you. All right. So let's get practical. Let's give people some actions.
Sure.
Of course, obviously the best thing would be just to hire you. But before they get to that point, what are some things that people should be doing to grow their business, to really make money online?
Well, let's talk about the people for us. You really have to focus on driving those sales, and you really have to focus on driving sales profitably, right? You don't want to spend, let's just say an ad, boosting an ad for $70 and you got nobody to buy the book. So you don't want to do that. But what I actually recommend, this is our formula for success, is design what I call profitable tests. Okay. Let's just say that you are trying to find the right title for your book. Now, it's really costly if your book doesn't have the right title, right? Because there was, I remember before Tim Ferriss came out with the 4-Hour Work Week, there was a book exactly like Tim Ferriss's content, but it was called How to Automate Your Business. It was just simple how-to book. And it was exactly the content that Tim Ferriss had, and it was up on Amazon, had no sales, barely any sales. And if you look at Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Work Week, it has thousands and thousands. He sold to millions already, and has thousands and thousands of reviews on Amazon. So title is very important. You need to design what I call profitable tests. These profitable tests are you thinking about what is the cheapest way that I can get the best title for the book, because you coming up with it in your living room is not going to be the best way. You need to get feedback. So for, I would just spend $20 to do a really quick A/B test on Facebook, for example, for people who follow Tony Robbins, or people who follow, anybody else that is like Tony Robbins, or some sort of author that people follow within the niche that your book is targeting. Just spend $20, because that $20 has a high ROI. So if you find yourself not sure, and you don't even have to spend $20, you can go to Tony Robbins's Facebook group and, send a survey out. Just post a survey to all of the members there and say, hey, which title do you guys like best, A, B, C, or D? And you'll get people voting. And that is a free way to sort of start to gauge and understand how strangers, not just, your family and your friends, but strangers who are like the people that are going to be your readers, getting their feedback. There's so many ways to do it. And the best thing to do is actually sit down and design profitable tests when you encounter a roadblock or you're not sure what to do next. And keep testing, keep failing, keep making mistakes. Inside our agency, we actually encourage everybody to make mistakes. We encourage everybody to fail really fast and just make sure that those tests and failures are still profitable. They're small, profitable tests. And then we make sure that there's a system in place that they don't make the same mistake again, that they're constantly improving. So that's my number one recommendation that applies to everybody. Just don't do analysis paralysis. Design profitable tests, and you can get creative with it.
That is great stuff. Kris Sugatan. Kris, what is the best way that smart people who want to engage with you and have you take them to 7 or 8 figures would get in contact with you?
You can actually just introduce yourself. We have an exclusive private email list, which we encourage people who are high performers or who are very ambitious to apply for a private email list. And this is where we give our best strategies in growth hacking, essentially. Growth hacking profitably and bootstrapping your sales and your revenue. And that's going to be at Sugatan, SUGATAN.io/list, LIST.
Perfect. Well, Kris, like I said, we could have gone on for hours. This is great stuff. Probably have to have you back again to talk with us, but I really appreciate the time and the insight you gave to the listeners today.
I hope somebody takes some actionable out of it. And thank you so much for having me, Steve. It was a pleasure.
That was such great information. I hope you were taking notes. Really important to know and have an effective approach to your online marketing. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we'll be right back here on Thriving Entrepreneur. You've heard Kathy and I talk about it. You've seen the workshops. You have watched as others of your friends have become a best-selling author. And now it's your turn. Let me ask you this. What would being a best-selling author do for your business? Over 80% of people surveyed said that they want to write a book, which means that if you're listening, you probably are one of those people. Now is your time because you have a message that needs to be shared. That message is not for you. It's not for your ego. It is because it serves other people. Kathy and I are here to help you share your unique brilliance with the world. All you need to do is go to WeHelpYouThrive.com, check us out, and find out how you can be a best-selling author today.
Welcome back to Thriving Entrepreneur.
This is Steve. Welcome back. Thanks for listening to Thriving Entrepreneur. I hope you're getting a lot of great information out of this. I've got more for you. I have another great guest that's going to continue our conversation about digital marketing and really give us some more great tips on things that you should do to be able to really have the most effective online presence and really reach the people that you want to reach. Are you ready for it? Let's jump right back into it. Join me in welcoming Voltaire Palmston. Hey, Voltaire, how are you doing today?
Hey, Steve. It's great to be here. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Absolutely. Glad to have you here with us. So tell us a little bit about who you are and how you show up in the world.
Sure. So I own a digital marketing agency. We're based out of Los Angeles, California, and our specialty is pretty much helping local businesses, those with brick and mortars in particular, establish an online presence, get caught up to speed, if you will, in the technology world. What we found is that a lot of these brick and mortar businesses that have been around for a while have been either slow to adapt to change or are just reluctant to change and kind of establish themselves in the digital world. So, establishing things like a Facebook business profile or an Instagram page or things like that. We've found that talking with a lot of these owners, they are hesitant to change their ways, I guess you could call it. So as a result of that, you have these platforms that are essentially, quote unquote, born in the cloud, like your Amazon, your Google, all of these shopping networks that are kind of coming in and taking over the market share of online shopping. And in today's market, it's essential that they have some type of online space in order to compete with these big behemoth box corporations, if you will. So we essentially give business owners the tools and the knowledge to at least have a fighting chance against the Googles and the Starbucks and the Amazons and the Walmarts of the world. So, not Google necessarily, because that's where we advertise, but, against places like the Walmart, Target, your big box corporation type stuff. We want to give the local business owner that's worked so hard to be where they are at in this present day, to essentially continue on that legacy of having that store, that brand, that name, should they want to pass it down to future generations within their own family or however they want to choose. At least it'll be there. At least it's adaptable to the online space. And we're just here to support them and kind of get their name out there. And we help them with every step of the way.
Awesome. Yeah, digital marketing is so important for business owners who, and it's so ironic to me because you would think in 2019 there would be none of them, but there still are a lot. For those that are resistant still to adapting digital marketing for their company, can you give us some solid reasons why digital marketing is so important to your company these days?
Sure. Yeah, definitely. It's a great question. You have to think about your target audience and your target customer. Now we're coming up to the decade, I should say, of when the baby boomers are starting to they're getting older, obviously, and now it's the millennials and Generation Z, or I'm not even sure what the name is now, but it's this younger demographic of people that are shopping. And this up and coming generation was raised online. Essentially, they look up reviews before they go to a place. They look up where the address is online. They look up, what if their friends or any other of their social network have been to this particular location. So it is essential that a lot of these businesses have all of their listings correct, and just essentially have a name out there, because if no one knows that you exist outside of your 1 or 2 mile radius of your physical location, you're pretty much it. You cater to the same customers, but that can only last for so long. And the lifeline of any business, we believe, is leads and customers, and new customers at that. So we need to make sure that these businesses are all up to date on all their social media platforms. It's actually really funny to to see how this new generation interacts with new businesses. When they land on a business's website that doesn't load within 3 seconds, they bounce and they're off to the next one. They're off to the competitor. So that's kind of the thing that we want to address, and want to make sure that these business owners know it's essential to have all of these things in place. All of the foundation is set, and make sure that all of their pieces are in place, so that when some new customer does stumble upon their business, and it will be online, that they're not hit with a wall of slow load times. There's no website, the address is incorrect, the phone number is incorrect. Just these small little details that the business owner shouldn't have to worry about. And that's essentially where we come in, and we want to take away one less thing for them to worry about, so they can focus just on providing great customer service once we do drive that customer to their location.
So when you are thinking of tips and tricks, what are some of your favorite things to get to do for businesses to help them get traffic to their site?
Advertising is a great way for businesses to really get their brand out there and increase brand awareness. I know a lot of businesses are very hesitant to advertise, but it really is the way that a business is going to get their name out there. Besides, there are other ways, such as like social media marketing, where they constantly have to post or keep up a blog or update their site with new deals or promotions. So it's a lot of work. And then we found that a lot of these business owners are just overwhelmed with keeping up with the new platforms. So something very simple as running a advertising campaign that promotes a lunch special, or get a discount on getting your tires changed. Something very, very simple. It's amazing to see the results that people can get just from advertising. And I think it comes just with there's a bit of hesitation, that just because most of these local businesses have either worked with a marketing agency that wasn't as experienced, and they might have been on the cheaper side, or they figured that they would get a good deal if they went here because they advertised that they can do advertising for their business at a much cheaper rate. And in this realm, in this industry, you kind of do get what you pay for. And it leaves a very bad taste in the business owner's mouth once they've been burned, by XYZ fly-by-night operation agency. Because of course, in this age, a lot of people have also gravitated towards the digital marketing space because it's a low barrier to entry. And if they do know something, even a little bit of marketing, as far as how to put up an ad and all that on Facebook, then they figure they can target these businesses that have zero clue and don't want to learn about it. So it's a kind of an uphill battle, but just going back to your point and your original question, I think that advertising is definitely a quick and easy way to essentially test market validity, test your promotion, test your offer. It's very, very simple to do, and it's a very simple test to run. And with the reach that social media platforms have, it's insane. The audience that can kind of react and engage with it. A classic example is like, say you had a male-dominated industry, or you think you do anyway. So you sell things like power tools, or, something that's always been, the genre has just been skewed more towards male, and you want to advertise to this male audience because you have this new promotion coming up. Well, did you think about the audience that are the spouses or the women or the girlfriends, the wives of these males? And what season is it? So is it their birthday? Is it Christmas? A lot of times when we do run advertising, we test a lot of different audiences, and it comes back surprising to the business owner that, oh, wow, I got more engagement from the female audience interested in buying power tools for their husbands than direct response to the husband themselves or the male themselves. So it's, I would say that a great tip is just constantly test. And that's what marketing essentially is just test, tweak, and make everything optimized and better than it was, a week ago. So that's pretty much my tip for that, for anyone that wants to do that type of thing.
Have you ran into recently anybody that says that they still do advertising in the yellow pages?
That's actually pretty funny. We do. We do have some of the diehard still want to advertise in a physical book, yellow page type of deal. And we've gone as far as meeting some business owners that will actually change their business name so that they show up first in the yellow pages. So they went from, Bob's Plumbing to AAA Plumbing. So now all of a sudden, now they're in the A's and they show up in that first spot in the yellow pages. To be honest, I don't even know where to get yellow pages anymore. So, but we have run into business owners that still want to go the old school way. And that's kind of what I was alluding to. There are some very diehard, stuck in their ways. Like, this is the way that it's been done for the past 10, 20 years. I don't see any reason to change it. And we see it, unfortunately, as time goes on, that the business starts struggling to keep up with the market and to keep up with the audience and generating new customers. So, it's not to say that the yellow page is not a viable option, but there are so many more ways to advertise your business and also be able to measure the exact output or the result that you would get from that advertising. With yellow pages, you put a spot on the yellow page or put up a billboard or even a sign or flyers like the old school route. You don't really know what your return is on that. Are people seeing it? Did people call you directly from the yellow pages? I mean, how many are actually, resulting in a conversion? It's very hard to measure. Whereas everything that's digital, you can get very, very granular and very, very precise in knowing which advertisement drove that customer into your store or which advertisement is resonating the most with your audience. And you can even get your audience details, the demographics, what they're made of, as far as like gender, age, what are their other interests, things like that. So it's very, very specific, and it's a great time to get into digital, just because of that fact. You're able to measure what you put in and then take almost an exact measurement of what you get out of it. So something like putting $1 into advertising, you get $2 back. So it's working.
So I know that a lot of people are going to want to go further with you, and we'll talk about that in a second. But for the people who are just dipping their toes into it, they're finally going to take a chance. What is one thing that a person could do themselves to just, kind of try out digital marketing?
Something that's really, really simple, and we've actually been surprised at how many businesses don't do this, is Google is essentially the largest platform in the world, and Google has a service that's called Google My Business, GMB. It's essentially when you look up a business name or, say, for example, plumbers near me or something like that, and Google will pull up a list of those types of service-based businesses into their search results. Google My Business is something simple where people can go in, essentially claim that listing. So you can check to see, and it's amazing what information Google already has about your business, and check to see that the address is correct. The phone number that they have listed is correct. You can even see reviews that have been posted about you And it's such a simple, and it's completely free to do. You just Google my business, and it'll show you exact instructions on how to claim your business. It's just a simple verification process for all businesses to let Google essentially know, yes, this is my business. This is the information. It is all correct. So when people do a Google search for whatever it is, then it pops up and it's all the correct information, and people aren't frustrated, trying to call a number that's been disconnected for 2 years or something like that. So that's essentially the place that we would tell all businesses to start with, because it's such a simple process, and we're amazed at how many people have not yet claimed their business on Google, and it is already there. It's just waiting to be claimed. So, and it's a completely free service. It's a step-by-step process, and that's something that people can start with just because they already have the audience. The audience is already actively looking for their service, but it's very frustrating for even you as a customer to look up a business, call the phone number, and it's disconnected. And then you try and look for other phone numbers that are listed, and you just say, you know what, never mind. This guy has the next competitor has a correct phone number. I'll just call them. And it's just, and businesses lose out a lot on that type of thing. That's something so simple.
Absolutely. We all know a number of times when we've called for a plumber or an electrician or something like that. And if nobody answered the phone, we just call the next person.
Exactly. And it's amazing to me. And that's another point that we can get into a little bit is the sales process itself is completely different from the marketing process. Now, me and my agency and all of us, we will drive the traffic to your website, to your landing page, to your business, and get people to call you. But at that point, we are pretty much hands off unless we get further deeper into our services. But that at that point, the sales process takes over. So it's amazing to, for example, for business owners to call me and say, you did not generate X amount of leads this past month like you said you would. Well, we have records and we can show them, okay, well, Mr. Business Owner, this is how many phone calls were made to your business. And out of 10 phone calls, 9 of them went straight to your answering machine during business hours. So at that point, we really don't know what else to tell them other than make sure your sales process is correct, make sure your sales process is optimized to be able to handle the traffic that we will drive to you. And that's something that a lot of business owners don't really pay much attention to, in the fact that you will get an influx of traffic. You will get an influx of new inquiries once you start an advertising campaign or any kind of marketing campaign. Are they ready? Is their sales team ready to handle whoever the new prospects will be? And can they essentially, quote unquote, close them? I hate saying that, but yes, exactly what it is just selling them the service that person is looking for. So we just want to make sure that when we do enter a contract with a business, that their sales process is optimized so that they don't come back to us saying, well, marketing doesn't work, advertising doesn't work. This is, it's just all hearsay and hype, then it really doesn't work.
So Voltaire, if somebody wants to go deeper with you and have you help them with their digital marketing, how can they contact you?
It's simple. Go to kaizensigmaco.com. That's KAIZENSIGMACO.com, or they can Google Kaizen Sigma and my business will pop up. That's our agency website. There's a bunch of information there about how we work. There is a contact form down at the bottom. They can schedule a call with us. And we just hop on a phone call, see if we would be a good fit to work with them, because we don't accept just anyone. There are certain criteria that we have to make sure that we have the best possible outcome from working together. Last thing we want is to take on every single customer and tell them, yes, we can make you $1 million brand by next month. Absolutely not. So it's just it's just a quick little phone call, just to chat and see what your business is and how you run things and what's working, what's not working, and kind of essentially prescribe the best possible solutions. And sometimes maybe that's not even our agency. Sometimes, we have colleagues that we can refer them to that would be a better fit rather than spending their money with us. Because that's the last thing I want, is for a business to be upset or not get the results that we promise to them, or at least try to get for them.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you spending some time with us here on the show today, Voltaire.
Thank you so much, Steve. It's been a pleasure.
That was so much great information from both of these guests, and I hope that you just have pages full of notes. I love it when I'm able to bring guests at this level to you that can share with you things, a lot of times, and yeah, most of these companies will do a free consultation with you, but then when you engage with them, you may be looking at needing to spend, $5,000, $10,000 a month to be their initial client and to share some basic tips, some things that you can get started with, or expose you to somebody who maybe needs to be your next, the person you need to hire to handle your online presence. I love bringing those level of guests to you. It is extremely important that you really truly do have your eye on the prize, as it were, that you are in control of the narrative that is what's being said and what's being done online about you. If you don't control the message, somebody else will. And my hope is that whomever is saying those things about you are saying positive things about you. But again, as I said at the beginning of the show, if you're not controlling the narrative, there's no way of knowing. It could be great stuff. It could be things that you're like, ooh, man, I wish somebody hadn't said that. You know what I mean? And so either way, we really want to effectively share our message with the world. Now, I can tell you, because I do this every day, the foundational element of marketing yourself, of saying, this is who I am today, but it wasn't always that way, and this is what I've learned. Let me share with you a tip on how to be able to handle this thing that I now do better than I did before. See, we're not talking about perfection. We're talking about, hey, I'm better at doing this than I was before, right? Okay. The foundational element to making the impact that you want to make in the world starts from that book. If you do not have a bestseller, you're missing one of it would be kind of like, I think of the story in the Bible, third generation minister, about the man who built his house on the sand. And I remember hearing a Bible story about the other guy built his house on the rock. He dug down deep beneath the sand and found solid rock and built the foundation of his house on that. Your book, your bestseller is what does that. And you see, the world needs to hear your stuff because you are uniquely brilliant. You were created for a purpose, and the world needs you. I want to do everything I can to help share you with the world so that your online presence is strong and powerful, and so that you can live every day of your life as a thriving entrepreneur.
Thanks for listening to Thriving Entrepreneur today. If you want to get your question answered, send an email to questions@wehelpyouthrive.com. We look forward to you joining us again next time.
You've heard Kathy and I talk about it. You've seen the workshops. You have watched as others of your friends have become a best-selling author. And now it's your turn. Let me ask you this. What would being a best-selling author do for your business? Over 80% of people surveyed said that they want to write a book, which means that if you're listening, you probably are one of those people. Now is your time because you have a message that needs to be shared. That message is not for you. It's not for your ego. It is because it serves other people. Kathy and I are here to help you share your unique brilliance with the world. All you need to do is go to WeHelpYouThrive.com, check us out, and find out how you can be a best-selling author today.